I'm sure I wasn't the only one whose eyes widened when I saw that the dealer had won against God. I mean, that blood on the page probably didn't belong to the dealer, after all he's sitting right there, but why did God play? I mean, he's God, right? It's not like he needs the money, but what if God was one of us? Just a slow blow one of us. Just a stranger on a bus trying to make his way home. That 50 grand would probably do it. Welcome to Mindfork. If you've been paying attention for the last few weeks, you'll have seen a game floating about called Buckshot Roulette. That word roulette should clue you into what this game is about without me having to tell you. You play against the dealer in 3 rounds and get to use an assortment of tools to better your chances and worsen his. It's fairly short but very fun to play. Explaining it doesn't do it much justice, so I would recommend playing it yourself on itch.io. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Within the first few minutes after you've made your way to the roulette table, you're met with a release of liability document that the dealer intends for you to sign. You can't progress without entering your name. And this got me thinking, a release of liability would protect people from something, sure, but surely not Buckshot Roulette, right? Well, let's get into it. To start off with, what is a release of liability? Well, it's a contract that keeps a party from taking responsibility for damages arising from an activity. In this case, it would be you participating in Buckshot Roulette. We got a brief look at the waiver itself and can't really read the text, but I managed to find a copy of it online, so we'll go through it now. There's a lot of text here, so we're just going to break it down a little. The first paragraph is the main topic of the waiver. The releaser, you, agrees to forgive the releasee, the dealer, and anyone else who runs the roulette game from any claims or disputes. In this case, that would be, if you died from playing, nobody can make any claims against the club. The second paragraph says that in return for not blaming them for anything that goes quote-unquote wrong, the dealer is going to give you $10,000 no matter what. The third paragraph says that the waiver shouldn't be taken as an admission of guilt, and the final paragraph makes sure that you actually have the power to make claims against them, and haven't transferred those rights to anyone else. Also, if any part of the agreement is invalid, it won't affect the rest of the waiver. Right off the bat, I can tell you that the waiver, without even considering the content, is invalid. I'm not a legal professional, so I don't know the complete ins and outs of a document like this, but usually in order for a contract to be legally binding, both parties have to sign it. Contracts can still be valid if only one party has, so long as the other is consistent in their actions in regard to the contract, which in this case would be to give you $10,000 regardless of the result of the game. Oh, also, because I'm sure someone will realise, having the player character sign their name using that machine doesn't necessarily make your signature invalid either. In many jurisdictions, just demonstrating that you agree to follow the contract is all that's needed. In both cases, it's a little hard to prove, since in this case, you won't know if they've followed the terms of the contract until it's been finished, so I'd be surprised if they're held up in court. But then there's the contents of the waiver. Again, there's a limit to what you can cover with one. There's quite a few make or breaks, but the two most relevant to us are intentional harmful acts and gross negligence. Both things that would happen while playing Buckshot, and both things that can make a contract void. Intentional harmful acts cover the first side of the coin. When the dealer fires the shotgun at you, it's intentional and it's harmful. On the other side is gross negligence, which basically means if someone's actions go far beyond the realm of ordinary negligence. Aiming a gun at yourself and pulling the trigger definitely falls under gross negligence, and so the contract becomes void. So there we go. The waiver you signed to give away your life is basically null. But I'm sure you would have come into this video with that assumption, so let's dig a little deeper and find out what we don't know. Is it possible to create a contract that does allow you to play Buckshot Roulette? Well, kind of, not really. Let me explain. The main and really only issue the waiver runs into is that contracts can't ask you to do anything illegal. They can't override anything like that. And as you would have guessed, this game is very illegal. Attempted murder, for one, for shooting the dealer but having him survive. I mean, the argument could be made for aggravated assault, but nobody walks into that kind of situation intending on dying, so the player would have wanted the dealer to lose. And there's only one way to lose in this game. Then we have unlawful discharge of a weapon. Firing at someone is pretty unlawful. Since alcohol is also a mechanic in the game, there's also carrying a firearm while intoxicated. And finally you have reckless endangerment and murder. Reckless endangerment for the risk and harm to yourself and others, and murder for, well, winning the game. Again, if the player went in there intending to win, then it would probably be murder. But if they went in equally expecting to win or lose, a case could be made for manslaughter instead. But there is a bit too much grey area there for my liking, so we'll stick with the first one. So, is there a way to play Buckshot without breaking these laws? Well, no. At least not in the States. Don't get me wrong, murder isn't legal anywhere, but there are countries that are willing to turn a blind eye to that sort of thing. It's a double-edged sword, however, as no random contract will matter in a place that doesn't respect legal repercussions. Though, if you replace the shotgun with a paintball gun or some other non-lethal version, then I could see you being fine, although there are other legal issues you would run into, so I wouldn't recommend that either. But I suppose if the game didn't kill you, then there would be no need for a liability waiver, so yeah, I wouldn't say I'm surprised by this outcome. The waiver really is just some flavor text that makes entering your name more narratively relevant. Can't say it makes the game less cool though, since while writing this I saw that a new update had come out. I think you can play forever now. If you like the video, subscribe. Come this Saturday, I plan to start releasing on a weekly basis. Join me for the ride if you fancy. I'll see you next time.